Hi everyone, thank you for joining the webinar. I'm just going to give it another minute or so just to let a few more people join, and then we'll get started. Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar where I'm going to talk to you about how to wrangle your records. So my name is Ashley, and for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm the support team lead here at Workbooks, and I've been here for around 2 years now. I am also joined by my colleague Casper, who's in the room. So he'll be on mute. You won't hear him, but he'll be on hand to answer any technical issues if we have any, and also he may respond to some questions while I'm talking. So please do chuck in some questions if you have them. So as some of you may be aware, we're currently running a series of webinars where we're going through some basics of reporting within Workbooks. So thank you for anyone who's attended the previous 3 sessions. I hope you were able to gain some useful tips and hints that have been able to help you so far. And for those of you who are joining for the first time today, so just kind of get you up to speed, we're running a series of webinars every other Wednesday around 4 p.m. UK time. If you've missed any of the previous 3, please don't worry, let us know. We'll be more than happy to send you a recording of the session. Alternatively, you can find a link on our website as well, so you'll be able to find them there. And on your screen now, you should be able to see the program of topics that we plan to cover in future webinars and the dates that they're scheduled for. Each webinar will run roughly for about 20 to 40 minutes. We are working on sending one link for all webinars. Unfortunately, GoToWebinar itself we're having some technical difficulties with, but we are planning on doing that in the future. So for now, if you do receive any individual registrations and you are interested, please do sign up. Alternative to these webinars, we do also offer a 2-day on-site reporting course where we cover certain topics in a bit more depth and help build your reporting skills and knowledge. So if you'd like some more information about that, please feel free to reach out to your account manager. They'll be more than happy to talk to you about how to book onto the course. Alternatively, you can get a system admin or a support contact to reach out to the support team and they'll point you in the right direction. So back to today's webinar. So the topic, as I said, is Wrangle Your Records, which means that we'll be focusing on how you can get information from 2 different record types, or data tables, as we refer to them, in one report. So the agenda for the webinar will be, so initially planning your report when joining data tables. So more specifically on why would you need to drill through to another data table? How you would link, how records are linked together, and selecting the right record when starting your report. And then we'll talk about how to include different records, so drilling through to another data table while building your report, interpreting that data, and then finally we'll jump back to the slides. We'll double check any questions that have come in. And I just would like to note as well that you may be able to see at the bottom, this session is recorded, so you will be sent a copy of the recording after the webinar's finished. Okay, so you may be thinking initially, so why would I have to drill into other record types or data tables to get the data I want to see? So let's say that you've been asked to create a report for a mailing list that shows managers whose employers are in a certain industry. So a person record would show their job title, their name, their email address, but information about their employer or the employer's industry would be found on an organization record. So as you can see on the screen, here we have a person record on the right-hand side, which is Alan Whitehead. And then on the left-hand side, we've got an organization record of Atlantic Services who employ Alan Whitehead. Now, on the person record, we have the employer field, which can be populated by the name of an organization within your system. Now, by adding the employer, you create a relationship between the two records. It's this relationship which we use when you're building your report. Now, relationships like this can be found on other records too. So, for example, if we were to look at an opportunity, whether you're a B2B or a B2C business, the prospective customer field can only be populated with either a name of an organization or a person. Now, when added, that creates a relationship between the opportunity and the the record that you've related it to. So with this relationship, you can build a report that looks at opportunities where a customer comes from a certain area or region. And with that in mind, apologies. With that in mind, it is important to choose the right record type when you're building your report. Starting from the wrong record type, it may still get you the results that you want to see, but the more records and the more data tables that you drill through can result in a more complex and less performant report. So sometimes I like to take a step away from workbooks and think about it in a slightly different way. So a good analogy here is, imagine you wanted to know which houses on a road have a red front door and a garden patio. That seems strange, I know, but please bear with me. The best approach would be to firstly check which houses on the road have red front doors, and then go and ask those occupants if they've got a patio. Now, I'm sure the common response would be, don't be so nosy, but hopefully you can understand why this would be the more efficient approach. Choosing the wrong record type when starting your report would be similar to walking behind all of the houses at first to see which ones have a patio, and then going back round to the front of the house to see which ones have a red front door. You are going to end up with the same result, but it's just going to take you a lot longer to get there. Now, thinking about that analogy, let's say you've been asked to build a report that shows closed-won opportunities where the customer is from a certain industry. So if we based this report on organizations, it would initially search all organizations, check their industry, and then look to see which of them have opportunities. While this would work, it would also include any organization that's never had an opportunity. Again, so thinking about it the other way, the more efficient approach would be to build your report on opportunities and then drill through to the organization to check their industry. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do now is just jump over into Workbooks, into a database, and display a pre-built report. So here we have this year's one ops. So here in the report, I've got columns for opportunity reference, prospective customer name, close date, stage, and amount home currency. And there is also criteria for close date is in the current calendar year, and the stage is stage 4.1. Now, when I press load preview, you can see that this shows us our one opportunities for this year. I'll bring that over a little bit so it's a bit more in view. The amount for each opportunity is displayed as well, and the total amount under this column for under amount home currency. But as I said, we want to see closed-won opportunities of customers in a particular industry. So now we need to add a column that shows that customer industry. So to do this, I'm going to start so I'll go back to columns and I will add column. Now, if I start typing prospective, you'll see that there are a number of options that appear. Some of these particular options have triangles to the right of them. These triangles indicate a drill through or a link to a different record type. Now, depending, as I said, if you're a B2B or a B2C, a prospective customer could have either an organization or a person name attached to it. So this means you've got so this is why there are options for prospective customer organization, prospective customer person, and just prospective customer. The last option, it would look at both organizations and people. Now, as I want to know as I want the industry field from an organization record, I'm going to add prospective customer organization. And once you select that option, it then displays a second drop down to the right hand side where we should now be able to pull information from that new record type. So what I'll do is if I search here industry and we click on that and we click save. If I refresh my preview now, you should see that the industry column is now added from the organization record and it's now displayed in your report. With this, now what we'd like to do is create a summary view so we can start to summarize some of this data. So what I'm going to do now is start by, so if I click add summary view, apologies there. So we always want to give it a good name. We always recommend giving it a good name. So let's have a look at, apologies. Industry breakdown. And we click save. We do always recommend about giving it a good description as well. For the purposes of the webinar, I won't do that now, but we do really recommend that so that if anyone is ever looking at a report or a summary view, they can see easily what it is doing. So firstly, what I'm going to do is add a grouping column and group by the industry. And then I want to add a summarized column to count the number of opportunities. So for that, we'll add a summarized column. And then in the column, we'll click opportunity reference. And we want that to count the number of opportunities. So we change that to number of ops. And then finally, a subtotal column to get the amount of each opportunity or the total value of each opportunity or a total value of opportunities. And if I click refresh or load preview, there we go. So here you have the breakdown of each industry on the left-hand side with the number of opportunities from each industry and then the total value of those opportunities. Okay, so sometimes when drilling into another record type, it can cause duplicate rows in your report. This is due to a field that you've drilled into having multiple values. So for example, you could have a report based on people and you're looking for or looking at a person's open activities. This report would show multiple rows for the same person if they had more than one open activity. And another example of this is, let's say you wanted to look at a report on orders and how many products you sold last year. Now for this, you would want to base your report on orders and then drill through to the order line items or the line items, which is a separate data table. And what I'll do is I'll demonstrate this for you now as well. So if I close this report. So we have another pre-built report here looking at so orders. So like I say, we wanted products sold last year. So in this report, I've got columns for order reference, order name, customer name, net home currency, order date, order status, and there is also a criteria added for, so customer or order date is in the previous calendar year and status is posted. Now, if I load this preview, the report is showing that we have a total net home currency or net home value of just over 1 million. So now I'm going to next, in order to see the products, I'm going to have to drill into the line items because we want to take the line items from, we want to take the products from the line items. So I'll go and add a column to do that. So here we have the triangle again next to line items, and that allows us to select from another drop-down list that will pull from the line items. Now, a good tip here. So as I said, sorry, I'm going to add product, so I'll pop that in now. So a good tip here is if you know that, so if you're building a report where you know that you want to include multiple fields or columns from that secondary record type, then if you select Save and New, what that will do is it will add the column that you're trying to store, but it will also keep that initial drill through so that it saves you time then adding those next fields and columns. So the next columns that I want to add are quantity, and I will also add the line item net currency, so net home currency. So there you can see there that we've got an error on screen. So I did expect that to happen. That wasn't a mistake on my part. So what that is there is that's just a notification saying that you've got another column with the same name or the same title. So it's just prompting that we want to change that. So what I'll do is I'll name it line items net and save that one. And what I'll do as well is I'll also display the grand total at the bottom. Select total. Now, as you can see, and as expected, or as I explained previously, what we have here is, so we've added our new columns, but because we've drilled into the line items, we now have multiple rows duplicating orders over multiple rows. And what that's done is looking at the original net home currency column that we had, it's now increased it from just over 1 million to 10.6 million. And again, the reason that that's happened is if you look at the so order 2, for example, if we look into that order, what it's doing is for each line item that particular order has, it's now displaying that many times in your report. So as you can see, we've got 3 line items here for that particular order, and it's displaying 3 times on your report. So the next step from here is to build a summary view so that we can start to summarize some of this data. So first I'm going to add summary view. Again, so we want to give it a good name, so we'll give it product breakdown. And again, always give a good description. You may remember in the last webinar that Milo explained that, what I'm going to do first is add a grouping column and group by product, because that's what we want to group by. And as I was saying, so you may remember from our last webinar, Milo explained that a subtotal column can only calculate the total, whereas a summarized column can calculate the total, the average, both minimum and maximum, and provide a count. So to see the amount of each product that was sold, I will add a subtotal column and select quantity, so subtotal. And then I'll add a summarized column for customer order reference. And we want that to count that. And then finally, I'm going to add net home currency as a subtotal. If I add that. So as you can see, we have, so again, a grouping of the product, the quantity, and the order reference. However, we've now selected a net home currency, which is the 10.6 million from that we saw in the details view, which we know is the incorrect column to have picked there. So what I should have actually selected was the line items net, sorry. And if I add that and we bring that back into view, sorry, for refresh preview, and then we can see next to them or next to each other, we have the original net home currency of the order or the product, as well as then the line item home currency. Apologies there. I think my sound cut out a little bit. So, and now, so we have a report again that shows us each product, the total quantity sold, over how many orders, and the total net amount of each product across all orders. If I remove that final one as well, because just to make sure that it's not so confusing. There we go. Okay, so now we have the two reports and the results that we wanted to see. I'll now revert back to the slide deck for a quick recap. Okay, so again, just covering over what I've discussed in the last 10-15 minutes or so is, so I've shown you how the relationships are built between different record types. The importance of planning what record you want to start from when building a report. And then when drilling into another record, duplicate rows may appear if you drill through, if the drill through produces multiple views or values. Apologies. So now I'm just going to come to any questions if we've got any that have come in. No, so it doesn't look like we've got any so far. And I'm getting confirmation from, oh no, we do have one from Tomislav. So how to know which record type to choose as starting? So that's a good question, Tomislav. It's really depends on the data or the results that you want to see in your report. It's not particularly an easy thing to answer, but I guess the thing that I would recommend most is plan your report before you start building it. And again, any particular questions you have like that, so again, give it a go. And if you need any assistance or any kind of advice on that, please do feel free to raise a query at the time to our support team, and they'll be sure to have a look at the report that you've set up, and then offer any advice on possibly any slight tweaks to it, or maybe starting it in a different way. Apologies if that's not the best answer, but yeah, it's quite a difficult one. That yeah. Just give it a second for any more questions in case we have any. No? Okay. So again, if you do have any questions that you don't think of at the moment, but maybe watching the recording back sparks a bit of enthusiasm, or a question that you forgot to ask at the time, again, please do feel free to reach out to our support team. They'll be more than happy to help you on with anything that you've got. So yeah, please do that. Okay. So as there's no more questions, I'll just kind of mention a little bit about our next webinar. So our next webinar is Conquer Conditional Formatting, where we'll go through how you can bring your reports to life. This will be on the 9th of April. So again, around the same time. I think this possibly is displaying the wrong format there. I think it's BST, as clocks are about to change. But it'll be at 4 p.m. UK time. Again, if you need any assistance with reporting, so we do have some good resources on our knowledge base, and again, we have a very good support team. I know I've mentioned them a few times, but like I say, I'm the team lead of support, and I will rave about them till the end. So yeah, please do ask questions. Please look on our knowledge base, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. Um, it, there you go, just some more details about the support team there. Or raising a case, if you can reach out to your support contact, and they can raise a case by email, phone, or case portal. Alternatively, you can reach out to your account manager, who I'm sure will be more than happy to help as well. And if they can't personally help you, then again they'll pass on the question to the support team, and will come back to you as well. We do have a range of recordings and videos on our website. So some of the topics there, I won't name them, but you can see what is covered. And as I said previously, so after this session, you'll be sent a link to this particular recording, but you can also find other webinar recordings and videos on our website if you go to this particular resources page, and if you click on webinar recordings, you'll be able to find them on there as well. Okay, so that's everything for this session. Again, thank you so much for everyone for attending. I hope there was some useful information there that that you'll be able to take away. And yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Bye bye.